parts out to you. I'm passing around the sign-in sheet. You've already signed in. We'll make sure that we put a check beside your name so that we know you didn't leave. There's a little later, if you check a friend's name who left, you're violating the integrity code. I'll have you brought up on charges, and you'll get thrown out of the university. I will and you won't, but so don't worry. All right, so I'm talking about rights and responsibilities. It's your last one of the day. Yay! Right? Rob had you guys use too much energy. Michael Frater, I'm from the poli-sci department. I now am serving as the University Teaching Certificate Coordinator. So, if after today you're like, man, I want to learn more about teaching, I'm the person to talk to. It's a quarter-long program. We meet once a week starting the winter quarter, meet with faculty, go over pedagogy, teaching university setting, make you a better teacher, do a couple of projects, you post them online at the end, you get certificates from the dean, you get letters from the dean. If you want to go on the job market, looking like a better teacher, it's a good thing to do. So the second year of the program, getting bigger and better every day. There's my part. Okay, goals and objectives. Hopefully by now somebody's told you it'd be a great idea to start off your class with learning objectives, the plan of the day, what you're going to do that day, something like that. The students like it, the students enjoy it, right? So here's what we're doing. Number one thing, I want you to understand your responsibilities as a TA. So when you walk into the classroom tomorrow or Friday or next week, you're not just standing there wondering what you're supposed to be doing, right? I want you to know your responsibilities. Understand what your responsibilities are not. Hopefully you have some sort of positive feelings for your students, right? That you care about them in some way. I want you to know where the balance is, right? I want you to know it's not your job. You're not their parent, you're not their best friend, right? So that's important to you. I want you to understand the resources that are available to you. When I went through this session many, many years ago, they did a very bad job of letting us know what resources the university has to help us and to help our students. I don't want you guys to be in that boat. I want you guys to know what we have here to help you. There's a lot of stuff that will help you, right, and help your students, so you should know what it is. You need to know your rights as a TA. I'll touch on this stuff. The union will come in and hammer it with you later, but I'll give you the basic, here's what your contract should say. If it doesn't, that should raise a red flag. It should be an issue. And finally, I'm lecturing to you, right? I'm telling you your rights, I'm telling you your responsibilities, right? We're having it as a lecture because we're having a discussion about the rights of the TA, right? Big floaty language, because we have a contract, we have rights. Where I tell you what those things are. There'll be certain discussion sections where you have to get out a bunch of information, right? Or drive home some points to make sure the students understand the material. That's when you use lecture, right? Compared to the other teaching strategies as we go forward. Your responsibilities, right? So the number, I shouldn't say number one, you should walk in that door, you should be engaged in the classroom, right? You should be an effective TA. That's your responsibility. You're being paid a lot, actually. I mean, we don't actually make a lot of money, but when you figure out the tuition and stuff they're covering for us, you get a pretty good deal, right? For 20 hours a week, right? So it's a lot to say to be effective and engaged in the classroom. So that's what you should do when you walk in. What does that require? It requires communicating effectively. Right? Making sure your students understand you, and also you understand them. Be motivated. Not tough to do. Let's talk about how being professional, attending class, understanding university policy, and managing crisis in the classroom. Right? It requires all of these things. First is communication with your students. Right? You have to speak clear and understandable English. This is an obvious problem for ESL students, but also for anybody who has a problem talking in front of other people. I talk too fast a lot of the time. If I do that today, raise your hand and say, if you're talking too fast, I don't understand what you're saying. I will try to slow down. I have a good friend who, when he talks in conversations, is really good. But when he presents information, he whispers. If you know that's a problem for you, you should practice before the first day. Right, with friends, to make sure you feel comfortable talking in front of people. Right. Another thing to think about too is nonverbal means of communication, right? So I'm wandering all around, because that's what I do as a teacher. So I can get closer to people, look you in the eye. I can also police the classroom, right? So if people in one side of the room are talking, I can get closer to them and talk at them so they hopefully stop talking. Right? Some little subtle things you can do. Think about how if you call on students, what they might perceive it as, right? Are you pointing at students, right? Or if you ask them a question, they're answering, are you showing yeah, being open, right? Welcoming yourself answers. Little things like body posture matter, right, to students. Right? If you hold class, like let's say it's a really relaxed discussion, but if you're sitting up here in a chair like slumped over, that sends a certain message, right? Versus like sitting on a desk or sitting on a chair like straight. So little things like that are your students will think about. They might not occur to you during the class when they're happening. You're just thinking about the information. I'm sure some of you are sitting there thinking about the way I'm moving, the way I'm acting. Right? I had my students tell me this summer that they just counted how many times I walked back and forth during class. Right? So they were paying attention to me. So I reached them. Hopefully they listened a little bit. Right? So think about what your students might be thinking about, right? And it'll help you be a better teacher, be more effective. English is a second language. If you're an ESL student, you have to pass the speak test. If you have a conditional pass, you may still TA, but you have to take ESL classes. Grad Division will pay for the first ESL class, at which point we hope you then perform, right? In addition, in the grad prep office, we have software available to practice your English, right? Also, Carlos is running the workshop later. We'll be in there a lot. He'll meet with you. He'll talk with you. He'll play games with you. He'll get your English better if it needs to. Right? Note that Carlos's workshop is moved to this room, actually. It's supposed to be across the hall now, too. Another thing is, let's say after your first 5 weeks of teaching, it's going really bad. You can sense that students hate you with a passion. Right? They're sitting there disinterested, maybe a little bit angry. There's just something wrong, right? Come to our office and we'll have you give one of your discussion presentations. Show us what you're doing. And we'll give you feedback. Say, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't stare so angrily as you're talking. Right? Where all your questions are yes or no questions. So nobody really knows what to say, right? Or all your questions are super easy. Or probably more common, you're saying words that I don't understand. And if I don't understand it, I know your students don't understand it, right? They're freshmen, so use the smaller words to help them. So again, we're here for not just ESL students. Blackboard, right? So there are a variety of ways you can use Blackboard to help communicate with your students. The first that I want to talk about is the Grade Center, where you could enter all the student grades. Talk with the faculty member first to see how they want you to use it. Some faculty are going to let you just do whatever you want because they don't care, right? Which is great because you can put all the student grades in the Grade Center. Other faculty might hide grades and have everybody post them and then they'll make them visible. Other faculty might not want you to use it. So figure out how they want you to use it and use it accordingly. It's really helpful. It avoids the what's my grade question. Just say, when it's ready, I'll post it on iLearn, and I'll let you know through email that it's posted. Post your syllabus. A lot of us don't realize until we're like here, right, that we have to have a syllabus for our discussion sections. Right? That like it's your class content. So you should have a syllabus for your discussion sections and probably for your lab too. If the professor didn't provide one. It says, these are my expectations. These are the rules of my classroom. Here's how we're going to evaluate what you're doing in here. Little things like that. Also have your office hours on it, where your office is, your email address. Right? Post that on the iLearn as well. Also probably have your contact information posted separately on iLearn. Also post announcements. So let's say you're art history TA and this new exhibit opened up downtown. You want your students to know about it. Post that on the iLearn. Post the announcement. Let them know. iLearn's been updated. You can now embed YouTube videos on iLearn. Fun and exciting. If you have a video that's relevant, put it up there. Hopefully somebody will watch it. Karen's going to talk more about that later, all the changes on iLearn. And again, that's over there. If you want to communicate with your students, there are a variety of options. Right? You can select users, which would be you pick individual students to email. That's how you'll email a single student. Right? You'll find them, select them, email them. You can email all student users. So let's say you're sending out a good luck email before an exam. Send that to all student users. Right? You can select all users, which is other TAs, faculty, they're in the class, all students. Right? Emails faculty ask you to send, you want to do that too. Right? But the faculty and other TAs don't need the good luck email. They like why they email this. Motivation. Right? You have a responsibility to be motivated to teach, to be motivated when you walk in the classroom. You guys are all pursuing a higher degree in a field of study that you selected. So I'm going to guess you somewhat care about that field of study, right? So it's not so much of a stretch for me to ask you to walk in excited to teach people about something you're spending your life studying, or at least the next handful of years studying. Right? It's not a huge demand. So go in excited to convey that information to them. Show them why your field of study is great, why you're doing it. From a selfish perspective, the more undergrads you convince to be in your major, the more TA-ships your department will have, the more funding opportunities you'll have, right? So even if this like ideological idea doesn't work, practically you want students to be in the major, your field of study, right? Most of us TA lower division courses where you can brainwash them into your major, right? So do those things. You have the tools to do this. Being professional, right? So you are what you wear in the classroom. Just like I said, one thing you do in your class, your students will pick up on as the sole thing they focus on for a whole class. You'll have students that pick up on something you wear, something you do, and they'll focus on that the whole class. On your evals, you will have somebody say, you wore really nice shoes, and that will be their comment. Right? It happens. So think about what you're going to wear before the first day of class. Right? Do you want to be very professional? Do you want to be very casual? What message are you trying to send? What relationship do you want with your students? Do you want to be seen as their professor almost? Like in that type of light, so dress up. Do you want to be seen as the cool TA, right? So you just walk in you skull t-shirt and figure out what you want. I have a good friend who TA'd here for 4 years wearing solely Disneyland t-shirts and cargo shorts. Busted up cargo shorts, right? And the students loved him. They thought he was their buddy. He'd write things on his evals like, SEMO is cool, or SEMO is my dude, right? Like, because he was their friend, and he had good evals, and he was a good TA. But that's the type of classroom he had. He sat down every day before class, like, what'd you do this weekend? That's cool, what'd you do? Right? So he wanted that friendly relationship. Right? I dress up a little more, I don't ask people about their day, I let them do whatever they're doing before class, right? So I have a very, much more authority. Like, I seem like farther away from him. So your dress is going to indicate that too. In our TA panel yesterday, one of the guys shared an example of somebody in his department who wears a suit and tie to class every time he TAs. But he walks in and he takes his suit jacket off and puts it on a chair. Then he undoes his tie a little bit and he rolls up his sleeves. So he has this whole performance to come in with authority and then gradually become more casual with the students. Right? So just think about how you might do things like that, right? It could be a long, drawn-out process where you dress up the first 2 weeks and then gradually start to dress down once you think you have authority. It also matters the class you're working in. If you're young or look really young and you're TAing an upper division class, right, you might want to dress up consistently to have a little bit more authority. Right? If you're TAing for freshmen, they're crazy, so they might not care what you're wearing. They're like the kindergartners in college. They're just running around screaming, trying to figure life out, right? So they might not care. Just you walking in, they're going to go, oh, right? Especially this first quarter, right? So think about who your audience is. Think about the messages you're going to send based upon what you're wearing, right? Because I'm telling you, they're going to say stuff on your evals that you're just confused about because you don't remember wearing cool shoes ever. Language, general appropriateness. If you would not say it in front of faculty, if you would not say it at a job talk, don't say it in front of your students. If you find yourself pausing before you say something, thinking, should I say this? Don't say it. Right? That's the little good angel on his shoulder telling you no. No, don't say it, right? Be appropriate in class. You don't want to be the TA that on your evals that says was extremely inappropriate in class. Right? You don't want to have that written down. Then you have to answer to the faculty what you said that was extremely inappropriate in class. Right? And remember, if you're going to be the cool, edgy TA that says really provocative things, there might be a segment of the class that is offended by those really provocative things, depending on what they are. Right? So for the percentage that does think you're really cool, another percentage will be put off on. Right? So try to figure out what the line is, what you can and can't say. We're all pretty smart, so we can figure it out. Make sure your classroom is respectful. Especially in humanities and social sciences in some ways, we're going to have topics that are controversial sometimes or sensitive. Make sure your classroom is respectful. Make sure you anticipate those subjects going in, and you know where the lines are. What might make people uncomfortable? What might be hurtful? Don't say those things yourself, obviously, right? And make sure other students aren't saying those things. See the conversation going in a certain direction, try to head it off and bring it back to normal land, right? If you have a student who's saying inappropriate things, I want to make that a teaching point where you say, listen, those are some ideas that I don't agree with. They're your belief, so keep them to yourself for right now, and let's move the subject to something else, right? Hopefully it will. If it shouldn't be disrespectful, you can ask them to leave you and talk to them later. But listen, I thought you were a little out of line. You're not going to lose any points. It's just what you were saying was making the class a little terrible for everybody else. Right? You're not going to have that. It's a very diverse student population. They police each other really well. So unless you're actively trying to get students to say offensive stuff, your students aren't going to be offensive or insulting. I mean, they might be to you and your evals, but to each other, they're really nice. Contact information. Your students should know where your office is, when your office hours are. They should know your email. You should have all this stuff posted everywhere. The first day of class, you should have a slide that shows your email, or write it on the board. It should be on your syllabus. Same with your office hours. They should be on the board the first day of class, on PowerPoint or written. It should be on your syllabus. You're going to tell this information to the students. You're going to say to them, write this down and remember it. They will write it down, they will forget they wrote it down, or they will eat the paper after class because I don't know where it goes. They have notebooks, they write it in the front page, and then they never remember it's there. So they'll ask you, what's your email? Where's your office? Almost every week you'll be asked the same questions. It's extremely frustrating because you've already put it in 10 different places. So take a big deep breath and say, this is my email, but remember, you can always email me through the island, so there's really no reason to ever ask. It's on the syllabus. My office hours are posted on the syllabus. I've told you them before. I try to make a teaching point the first day of class to tell my students, listen, you all are adults. Some people your age have real jobs. Some of you have real jobs. Right? If you have to ask your boss the same questions every week and they've already told you the answer, your boss is going to get really angry. And your chances of getting promoted are very small. Right? If I share information with you, it is basic contact information, you shouldn't have to ask me every week. That is. Right? They still won't, and they'll ask you, but try to get them to grow up. Try really hard. Like office hours, make sure they're during business days. Some of you are going to have sections at night, let's say 7 to 8. Do not then hold office hours from 8 to 9 or 8 to 10, right? Because it's convenient for you, right? You do not want to be alone in your department with students where no one could support you if students make accusations against you about your behavior, right? Things you said, things you did. So do not hold your office hours late at night. Hold them from 9 to 5 during the week when people are around. The same reason you never close your door during office hours when you're in there with a student. You do not want people to make accusations against you as a TA. If a student's talking to you, the door is open. Right? If a student has something private they want to talk about, maybe they've got a lot going on in life and they want to explain why they didn't do a paper, they don't feel comfortable talking about it in front of your office mate. Tell them, all right, whisper, right? Or get up and just go walk down the hallway and talk about it quietly with each other. There are ways to have conversations with people in plain view of everybody else, where the only people know, the only two people that know what's being said, and two people talking, right? But don't shut your door under any circumstances. Yeah, go to the coffee bean. It's like a billion people there. It's really loud all the time. You can talk privately. So door open, and then don't get angry when people ask, hey, somebody might want to give you a gift. You can't accept it, right? You cannot accept gifts from students, because that's unfair to the other students who are going to watch you receive gifts from other students. Right? I see the same 75 freshmen all last year. By the end of the year, they thought I was their high school teacher and tried to give me stuff. Like, here's a Panda Express gift card. I can't take that. Right? That doesn't look good if you have students offering you things, right? It looks like they're trying to buy grades. It's unfair. You cannot accept gifts. Thank them for the thought. Say you can't accept it. It's great to have them as a student and wish them good luck. Give them their Panda Express card back. Do not accept gifts from students.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
How about after grades are posted? If they really just like
Still
wanted to thank you afterwards?
Still no.
What if it's a really sweet t-shirt?
Still no. So here's an example. So the English department had this conversation last week too, where earlier this week, where a TA said a student's parent came in and had a basket of Bath and Body Works stuff. It was like, awesome. Here you go to their TA. Here you go. Thank you for helping, Susie in class. And the TA was like, I can't accept that. The next week, the student came in with the basket and was like, here you go, and the TA accepted it because it was after the quarter was over. That's still not okay.
What if we not too anonymously?
Why can't you take it from their parents? It's illegal for you to talk to their kid about their grades and like do have any interaction.
You just have to think about it from the perspective of any other student that sees that happening. So like if they mail it to you anonymously, like donate it to charity, like you can't. That's not going to happen for them.
Really?
I mean, if it's an anonymous gift from nobody, then you're not going to know it's from a student.
So what you're saying, what I should say is, please don't give me any gifts, but I can receive as many anonymous gifts.
You want to send your address to all your students. Okay, it's the same. Okay, so legally, you cannot accept gifts from students or their family members, right? Because it looks like a bribe to anybody from the outside. Right? But if people are leaving like puppies at your door, like don't drown the puppy. So don't accept gifts, accept anonymous gifts. All right, approachability. So if you're such a great TA that people want to send you anonymous gifts, you're probably approachable, right? A great TA balances authority and approachability. You want to seem like you know a lot, right? Because then the students are going to want to come talk to you to get their questions answered. What you don't want to seem is like you go so much that they can't talk to you. Right? We're all familiar with our faculty here and how the faculty talk in nothing but jargon. Because they're so into their fields that in their minds, all the jargon we now understand, for them is just normal talk. So that's how they talk to the students a lot of the times. The students don't understand our jargon because they're undergrads, right? Especially the freshmen. Right? You want to be the person in the middle who understands the jargon and can help translate that jargon into normal speak for a student. Right? That makes you really approachable. Help break down complex concepts with easy examples, things like that. So they'll come see you in your office hours, and they'll understand things better, then they'll do better in class, and do better eval, right? So you want to be approachable. Think about professors and teachers you've had that were approachable, emulate them. Right? Be like that person you think is really cool. Be like your favorite professor. Sometimes. Class or lecture. On your appointment sheet, you should have seen if you have to attend a lecture or not. Right? Some departments don't make you attend lectures. Some professors don't make you attend their lectures. I would tell you, if given the option, you should still go every class. If you're not at lecture, and you have a bunch of your students are in lecture, hopefully, you should be, right? And you're not there, they're going to assume you're out surfing or at Disneyland or eating at their favorite restaurant or doing something they really want to do. Even if you're in the lab running an experiment, they assume you're having fun. So they'll hate you. If you're not there and they have questions, they'll hate you because they'll be mad. They'll be like, I have all these questions sitting up there. So their evals will say, was not available to answer my questions. Right? So go even if you don't have to. Right? It's 3 hours a week, not a huge demand, so go.